Good morning, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to meet you this early morning for the last day here in Belarus. I would like to ask you first to adopt the agenda for this meeting, which has been circulated. The agenda is adopted. Dear colleagues, before we proceed to our meeting, let me say a few words regarding our podium today. As always, heads of the OSCE 4 executive institutions were invited to attend our annual meeting here in Minsk. Unfortunately, as you probably know, for the past week, all 4 of these positions have been vacant because no agreement could be reached appointing individuals to these positions. Some of these positions have been vacant for many more months than just the past weeks. But for the past week, we have been in a situation where there is nobody appointed to head any of the OSCE main institutions on the governmental side. As someone who cares deeply for this organization, a true believer in its work, I find this unacceptable. There is this. Here at this podium, you can see the result of diplomatic deadlock. 4 empty chairs at the leadership of the OSCE. Can you turn it down? Yes. No, we don't have any Secretary General, empty chair. No Director of ODIHR. No High Commissioner on National Minorities. No representative of freedom on media. I sincerely hope that all of us will go home to our governments and exert whatever influence we have to encourage a solution to this problem. We owe it to the organization that we are members of, and most importantly, we owe it to our citizens who benefit from the work of this organization. And from this place, I also want to thank the former Secretary General Lamberto Zanier for his very good cooperation with us. That being said, we are also lucky, we are fortunate to have here Ambassador Paul Beckers, the Director of the Office of the OSCE Secretary General. Paul Beckers is a very experienced professional and a very good friend to the Assembly. He and his dedicated colleagues are, of course, ensuring that the OSCE continues to function under the current circumstances. I look forward to hearing your intervention on behalf of the Secretariat, but also hope that we will all work to ensure that the Secretary General, a Director of ODIHR, a High Commissioner on National Minorities, and a representative for the media are all appointed as soon as possible. Dear colleagues, we will now continue with our open general debate. The speakers list is now closed. We have 22 speakers remaining on the list, and I will limit the speaking time to 3 minutes, and I try to be strict, 3 minutes. Before I call the next, we come to the first speaker. It's from the Russian Federation, Mr. Vladimir Zabarov. You have the floor.
Благодарю, господин председатель. Российская делегация настойчиво призывает коллег к налаживанию конструктивного сотрудничества. Ряд принятых на этой сессии резолюций носили антироссийский характер. Особо усердствовали представители Украины. Удивлены позиции некоторых членов шведской делегации. В докладе госпожи Седерфельд и поправки господина Варенфельда сплошь обвинения в адрес Российской Федерации. Видимо, во всем мире полный порядок, и лишь в России сплошное безобразие. Это вообще свойственно некоторым шведским политикам, которые уже лет 50 ищут у своих берегов мифические российские подводные лодки, правда, найти пока ничего не смогли. Обратите внимание, что голосование по поправке господина Беренфельда, по сути, раскололо вчера парламентскую ассамблею. Пришлось даже дважды голосовать, хотя результаты голосования вызывают большие сомнения. Я полностью солидарен со вчерашним заявлением главы нашей делегации господина Толстого относительно Крыма. Когда в начале 90-х годов прошлого века Федеративная Республика Германии без всяких референдумов присоединила к себе суверенное государство, Германскую Демократическую Республику, весь мир, в том числе Россия, восприняли это желание немцев жить в единой стране с пониманием. Когда же Крым на основании закона, проведенного референдумом, вошел в состав России, это называют аннексией. Чем восточные немцы, решившие жить в одной стране с западными немцами, отличаются от русских и русскоязычных граждан Крыма, которые веками связаны пуповиной с матушкой России? Несколько слов о российской военной угрозе, которая, по словам некоторых парламентариев, угрожает европейским странам. Хочу напомнить, что русские войска шли с оружием в Европу дважды. В начале XIX века, когда гнали на запад разгромленную армию Наполеона и принесли свободу всем европейцам, а во второй раз в 40-х годах XX века, когда спасли европейские страны от коричневой чумы. Причем в обоих случаях сначала нападали на Россию с целью завоевания и уничтожения, а затем наши солдаты ценой своей жизни принесли вам, дорогие европейцы, свободу. По всей Европе стоят памятники русским и советским солдатам, которые воздвигли в их честь ваши благодарные предки. А некоторые их внуки и правнуки эти памятники сегодня намерены уничтожить. Пытаясь бороться с Россией, которая никому не угрожает, мы можем прозевать страшную опасность, которая исходит от международного терроризма. Бороться нужно не с Россией, а с ИГИЛ, который реально угрожает европейцам. Если бы не Россия, радикальные экстремисты уже давно повернули бы свое оружие против демократической и благополучной Европы. И последнее. 2 дня в Гамбурге проходил саммит G20. Участники, в отличие от нашей ассамблеи, занимались не усилением конфронтации, сведением счетов, а спокойно, шаг за шагом начали разбирать завалы, образовавшиеся в наших отношениях за последние 30 лет. Давайте не будем отставать от наших глав государств и правительств и последуем их примеру в вопросе восстановления нормальных отношений в Европе и мире. Пользуясь случаем, вновь приглашаю парламентариев ОБСЕ в Санкт-Петербург на 137-ю ассамблею МПС Межпарламентского союза 14-18 октября. Благодарю.
Thank you. The next speaker is Mr. From Italy, Mr. Fortilli. Okay, we move on to the next speaker. It's Mr. Popov from Ukraine.
Dear Madam Chairman, dear colleagues, first of all, I would like to thank all of you for all your support speeches and decisions for our country. Ukraine is still in focus of our organization, and Ukraine will stay in focus for a long period. Conflict in and around Ukraine is so deep that there is no fast or simple solutions. Conflict is international. That's why we cannot solve it without international support. What kind of support do we need? First of all is special monitoring mission. We discussed the activity several times these days, and everybody agrees that the reports are professional and objective. And that's why we ask you to continuation for supporting of SMM. Next is Minsk process. It's very important that OSCE provide us this platform and that Belarus authorities provide us space. And here in this hotel, we had many rounds of discussions, and it helps us in resolving our problems. Minsk agreements are not perfect, but do we have better for the moment? No. And ceasefire and security requirements, this is the first and necessary precondition for the whole peace plan. Sanctions I don't like sanctions. Sanctions are destructive. And Ukraine also lost it a lot. 1/3 of our economics was connected to Russia, and everything is breaking. But Russia violated our basic values and Osce commitments. That's why we have to keep the sanctions. We are all politicians, and our power is our decisions and our votes. Votes here or votes in our national parliaments. And when we vote for every single resolution or for every leadership position, we have to remember how every country respects our values and implement our commitments. We thanks for all international programs for IDPs, for humanitarian aid, for Red Cross activity. We understand that the main part of home task is Ukraine obligations and responsibilities. And we're working hard on national dialogue, decentralization, constitutional reform. But Ukrainian politics is not one-man show. It's pluralistic, and our decisions are not fast. And yes, sometimes we make mistakes, and we work on it. But we put peace in our country as the first priority, and we pay great price for our sovereignty and our values. Thanks again for your support.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The next one is from Italy, Mr. Sergio Divina. You have the floor.
Grazie Presidente. È interessante il nostro lavoro perché prova a far collaborare il più possibile i nostri paesi per un grosso obiettivo, cioè che è vivere in pace. Se però i nostri paesi sbagliano nelle varie manovre, nelle varie politiche, tutto quanto viene vanificato. Vorrei porre l'attenzione su quanto è successo nel Mediterraneo negli ultimi 5-6 anni. Il Mediterraneo è stato letteralmente destabilizzato. Qualcuno ha pensato di offrire maggiori libertà ai popoli del Nord Africa. Però ci siamo accorti subito che la democrazia non è un modello esportabile ovunque. Probabilmente Ben Ali, Gheddafi, Mubarak non erano dei grandi presidenti democratici, però garantivano la stabilità dei relativi paesi. Fatti saltare questi dittatori, si è creato il caos e tutte le problematiche di cui ci siamo occupati in questi giorni, l'immigrazione incontrollata, dipende anche dal fatto che i nostri governi non hanno più interlocutori affidabili sull'altra sponda. Secondo noi era un grande disegno, questo era un grande puzzle della vecchia amministrazione americana, Obama, e ai 3 dittatori probabilmente mancava il quarto, che sarebbe stato Assad. E sulla Siria si stava facendo un enorme errore, si rischiava un altro Afghanistan, si armavano ribelli contro una forza credendoli combattenti per la libertà e si è andato, perché gli americani hanno armato forze attigue ai ribelli dell'ISIS. Per fortuna la nuova amministrazione Trump, nuova amministrazione americana, ha cambiato registro. E la più bella affermazione che ha fatto Trump è che Assad non è un problema nostro. Assad semmai è un problema dei siriani. Il nostro problema è il terrorismo. E come sconfiggere il terrorismo? Come sconfiggere il terrorismo? Servono indubbiamente misure di rigore. A volte però le misure di rigore non si sposano con le libertà. Ieri abbiamo votato la risoluzione del collega Kovalev, russo, delegazione russa, che intelligentemente ha accolto tutti gli emendamenti che sono stati proposti. Però l'emendamento dei colleghi belgi, che voleva introdurre, mantenere le libertà nel momento di rigore, vado a finire Presidente, non è possibile, perché le libertà non aiutano noi, ma aiutano più i terroristi in questo momento. Se mi dà pochi secondi, è la notizia di oggi che noi abbiamo appreso con grande piacere la liberazione di Mosul. Di fronte a questa bella notizia c'è una cattiva notizia per i nostri paesi, che torneranno tanti foreign fighter e 1500 sono europei. Troviamo un modo, un tribunale speciale, qua è già stato detto, perché non abbiamo elementi oggi per condannare queste persone. Rischia di più un cittadino europeo che sbaglia in automobile con i limiti di velocità che uno che ha tagliato 100 gole. Grazie e scuso per il ritardo.
Thank you. Thank you. The next speaker is from the Russian Federation, Mr. Andrei Suravlev. You have the floor.
Уважаемый президиум, уважаемые члены делегации, хочу поднять проблему свободы средств массовой информации. Текущее состояние медиаландшафта порождает все новые вызовы для представителей СМИ и всего международного сообщества. Мы обеспокоены попытками фрагментировать информационное пространство региона ОБСЕ. Под предлогом защиты национальных интересов в некоторых странах пренебрегают основополагающими принципы свободы прессы, ограничивают журналистов, нетерпимо воспринимают альтернативные позиции. Некоторые страны препятствуют деятельности русскоязычных СМИ в своем информационном пространстве. В странах Балтии зафиксированы неоднократные случаи депортации и запрета на въезд для российских журналистов. Закрываются медиапредставительства, создаются административные барьеры для эффективной работы. Встречаются также национальные инициативы по ужесточению регулирования интернета с явной антироссийской направленностью. Примером может служить законодательная инициатива Верховной Рады Украины, направленная на дерусификацию информационного пространства. При этом преступления против журналистов остаются безнаказанными. С каждым днем информационная политика подвергается все более жесткой, предвзятой цензуре. Объектами санкционных мер становятся именно российские СМИ, а представители высших эшелонов власти некоторых стран уже даже не пытаются скрыть такой дискриминационный подход. Россия со своей стороны всегда была и остается на позициях максимальной открытости. Мы стараемся придерживаться правового баланса свободы слова и ответственности за достоверность фактов. Мы категорически против каких-либо запретов для журналистов и призываем всех строго придерживаться норм профессиональной этики. К сожалению, информационная политика стала опасным инструментом в борьбе за идеологическое влияние, теряется доверие граждан, подрывается имидж профессиональной журналистики. Могут быть разные мнения и оценки одного и того же события, но СМИ должны формировать правдивую картину происходящего в мире, без попыток подтасовки фактов. Мы призываем к этому осознанному выбору каждого участника ОБСЕ, и, сделав его правильно, мы гарантируем информационную безопасность на принципах правды, свободы и беспристрастности. Коллеги, в связи с этим крайне важно подойти ответственно к выбору нового представителя ОБСЕ по вопросам свободы СМИ. Поскольку на первый план выходит вопрос обеспечения полноценной свободы СМИ, мы считаем, что мандат представителя ОБСЕ нуждается в пересмотре и должен быть приведен в соответствие с нынешними реалиями. Спасибо за внимание.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is from Greece, Mr. Theophylaktos. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. About 20 years ago, while studying international law as a postgraduate student, I was informed, among other things, about Confederation and then Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, OSCE, for our organization. Till then, 20 years passed, and 20 years later, many crucial steps were taken, and more have to be taken from now on in order to fulfill the words organization, security in Europe, and cooperation in Europe. What is the key, in my opinion, for the integration of OSCE and fulfillment of security and cooperation in Europe? The key, in my opinion, is solidarity. Solidarity is the answer. Solidarity between people and states. solidarity for economic and security aspects. Let me give you an example. We all agree that all the goals set to Paris Agreement, such as environmental sustainability, green economic growth, decarbonization policies, etc., should be fulfilled. But what about the areas that are going to suffer from decarbonization policies? As I already said to the second committee, in those areas, one of which is that I come from in northern Greece, Kozani, West Macedonia, two major negative impacts will occur. First, they look like devastated and destroyed areas, and second, too many workers will lose their jobs. So what OSCE members should do, in my opinion, in this situation is to show solidarity and support the areas that apply decarbonization policies on two fields. First, on environmental rehabilitation, and second, on labor force redirection from the coal industry to other sectors of labor market. So that's an example of showing solidarity between OSCE members. Now, from member state side, the major condition, in my opinion, that has to be fulfilled is the respect of human rights. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, I just want to remind you, don't forget to go and cast your votes. It's open until 11 o'clock. The next speaker on the list is from Cyprus, Mr. Hajiyannis. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am in the disgruntled position to inform the Assembly that the process for resolving the crisis in Cyprus has been interrupted. The Cyprus problem resolution process has peaked in the last 2 years. There has been significant progress and enormous convergence have emerged across all internal aspects of the Cyprus problem. As regards the external aspect of the Cyprus conflict, the Cyprus Conference in Grand Montana was first convened. Unfortunately, the Conference on Cyprus in Grand Montana completed its proceedings in the early morning of 7th of July. There was no outcomes from the current effort because of the insistence of the Turkish side for the continuation of the Treaty of Guarantee, the right of intervention by Turkey in Cyprus, as well as the presence of Turkish troops in Cyprus. Beyond the Turkish position on the chapter of security and guarantees, the Turkish position that were expressed about the rest of the chapters not only drift away from the framework of the Secretary General of the United Nations, but they were such that they could not be accepted under any circumstances whatever. The President of the Republic, from the first day of his presence in Grand Montana, submitted specific and comprehensive proposals on the basis also of the ideas of the UN General Secretary, so that if they were accepted, the road for an overall solution to the Cyprus problem will be open. Specific written proposal which address also the concerns of the Turkish Cypriots. A specific written proposal on the chapter of security and guarantees was also submitted by the Greek government, which during the course of the discussions in Grand Montana presented itself with a constructive attitude and approach so that there can be a positive outcome. UK gave up also part of military territories for the Cyprus solution. The outcome of the conference is not under any circumstances whatsoever a positive development, but must not be the end of the road either. The unacceptable current state of affairs cannot be the future of Cyprus. We have to intensify the efforts so that those conditions will be created that will allow us to be optimistic about the termination of the occupation and the reunification of our homeland. We thank the Secretary General of the United Nations who through His presence in the conference and the way of approaching the pending issues demonstrated that he understands those principles that must govern a comprehensive solution to the Cyprus problem for a state which is and will continue to be also following a possible solution, a member state of the European Union. The process of resolving the Cyprus problem should continue within the UN framework. This process cannot come out of the framework of the UN because the Cyprus problem is an international problem of invasion and continued illegal occupation. 42 years continues to develop illegal settlement. I call on Turkish, which through the mouth of foreign minister said that the treatment of the Cyprus problem will be outside the UN, telling us what it means. At this time, as Assembly of OSCE, we can call on Turkey to participate in the dialogue on solution of the problem. There can be no other way to resolve as the structured dialogue.
I'm sorry, it's 45 seconds over. It's almost 1 minute. I'm sorry. Thank you very much. The next speaker on our list is from Morocco, Mr. Mohamed El-Bakouri. We are always very glad to have our, and it's very important for us to have our Mediterranean partners for cooperation with us. You have the floor.
Merci, Madame. Chers collègues, chers amis, je voulais vous présenter dans ces 3 minutes une expérience marocaine contre le terrorisme. La gestion des phénomènes terrorisme et de l'extrémisme violent est faite en Maroc selon une approche multidimensionnelle. Cette approche s'articule autour de 3 piliers. Dont le premier est la restructuration des champs religieux.
I'm sorry, just a minute. There is a problem with the translation into English, so I just want to stop it because we'll see whether it works now. Could you try again, please? Spanish was coming through instead of English.
Now.
Mr. Bakouri, could you try so we see if it works?
D'accord.
Oh, yes.
J'ai dit la gestion du phénomène de terrorisme et de l'extrémisme violent est faite au Maroc selon une approche multidimensionnelle. Cette approche s'articule autour de 3 piliers, dont le premier est la restructuration du champ religieux, qui a pour objet de faire face au phénomène de radicalisation dite islamite et de combattre les idées et pensées extrémistes. Le chantier prioritaire pour le Maroc de restructuration des champs religieux est mené sous l'impulsion de l'institution de la commanderie des croyants qui veille à une pratique de l'islam modéré, conformément au rite que les Marocains ont choisi depuis toujours, le rite malikite. Je voulais vous préciser en outre que cette restructuration a pris aussi une dimension institutionnelle à travers la révision des textes gérant le ministère des Habous et des Affaires islamiques. Rappelons dans le même cadre que le Conseil supérieur des Oulémas est la seule institution autorisée à émettre des fatwas à trancher dans toute question religieuse et à décider à quel point elle est conforme avec les principes de la religion et de la jurisprudence. Il y a aussi des affaires déployées dans le domaine de la gestion des mosquées et de formation des imams et prédicateurs et prédicatrices. Aussi, l'approche marocaine de lutte contre le radicalisme repose sur le développement humain. Rappelons le rôle joué à cet égard par l'Initiative nationale de développement humain qui a permis de répondre à des besoins spécifiques en termes notamment d'infrastructures, de projets générateurs de revenus et d'aide aux populations défavorisées qui sont souvent la cible des groupes extrémistes. Le troisième axe est la gouvernance sécuritaire, pilier important en matière de lutte antiterroriste dans lequel le Maroc a fait preuve d'une grande expertise et connaissance. Cette gouvernance s'articule autour de la coopération interservices, une révision de l'architecture sécuritaire est une action concertée entre l'ensemble des acteurs concernés par le domaine sécuritaire. Cette approche a permis d'acquérir une meilleure connaissance des phénomènes terroristes et une plus grande expertise dans sa gestion, rendue possible aussi grâce à une bonne connaissance historique et culturelle de ce phénomène et des comportements des sociétés dans lesquelles elle s'implante. Les résultats performants du Maroc en matière de lutte contre le terrorisme sont les résultats aussi de la formation de l'ensemble des services de sécurité, de l'utilisation de nouvelles technologies, d'une adaptation à la nature de la menace, d'une meilleure connaissance des réseaux et surtout un travail colossal en matière de renseignement devenu aujourd'hui l'arme fatale face à ce phénomène. Le Maroc est très ouvert sur la coopération régionale et internationale. Nous sommes tout à fait conscients du fait que le terrorisme est un phénomène global auquel la réponse doit être globale. Merci.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The next speaker is from the Ukraine, Ms. Olga Bielkova.
Thank you, Madam Chair, dear colleagues. I'm extremely happy and grateful for the support to the Ukrainian supplementary item on the strengthening of energy security in the OSCE region, because secure, sustainable energy is an engine for economic growth and development, and for Ukraine, it's a peacemaking tool. Coming from Ukraine, I cannot help but to comment on what is happening right now with the energy security in our region. Europe today remains significantly dependent on energy supplies from Russia, but Russia, for its part, depends on the European demand for gas and hard currency revenue for this gas trade. European policy to diversify its energy supply and sources is the best way to ensure it won't become hostage to gas blackmail. Gas transit infrastructure passing through Ukraine currently is operating just at 50% of its capacity, yet Gazprom is willing to shovel $10 billion or more into the Nord Stream 2 project that makes no sense in purely economic terms. But why should I care for how they spend their money? Because with Nord Stream 2, Kremlin is seeking not simply to diversify the routes of energy supplies to Europe, but it is their attempt of its policy to divide and conquer. If Kremlin is successful in realizing its goals of creating multiple peer-to-peer links, especially with Eastern European countries, it will again attempt to play its game of offering gas price discounts to politicians that they like and threaten supply disruptions as sticks. There will be more efforts to create patron-client relationship, more hiring of former high-level politicians, and more special contracts awarded to special friends. There will be more division in Europe as a result. We must not underestimate the implicit security guarantees inherent in the current gas transit system. The pipeline coming through Ukraine, paradoxically, it serves as security leverage against further Russian aggression. For as long as Ukraine is a party of the economic interdependence, Kremlin is bound to treat more carefully. But if it is successful in its supply routes diversification efforts, this restraining factor will be lost. And you can imagine what will happen in Ukraine. Our resolution calls to resolutely use the existing routes for gas transportation instead of building new routes. And this is exactly what was the purpose of our resolution. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is from Spain, Mr. Ignacio Cosido. You have the floor.
Muchas gracias, señora presidenta. Creo que uno de los grandes consensos que existen en esta Asamblea Parlamentaria es que la seguridad debe ser una prioridad para nuestros trabajos. Quiero hacer un reconocimiento expreso del representante marroquí, poniendo a Marruecos como un ejemplo de cooperación eficaz en la lucha contra el terrorismo con nuestros países. Me gustaría, sentada esta prioridad de la seguridad, combatir un cierto fatalismo que a veces parece instalado entre algunas de las intervenciones que escuchamos, en el sentido de que parece que el deterioro de la seguridad en el espacio de la Osce es algo inevitable, es algo que necesariamente tiene que producirse. Creo que como parlamentarios y como políticos tenemos no solamente la responsabilidad, sino la obligación de tomar las decisiones y iniciar las acciones políticas necesarias para lograr que no solamente podamos neutralizar las amenazas graves a la seguridad que debemos afrontar, sino que seamos capaces de aumentar el nivel de seguridad de nuestros ciudadanos, porque creo que esa es la principal responsabilidad como parlamentarios y como políticos que tenemos en este momento. Para eso hacen falta, en mi opinión, tres cosas esenciales. En primer lugar, una voluntad política clara de afrontar los problemas. En segundo lugar, una voluntad de cooperación real en el ámbito del terrorismo, en el ámbito de la inmigración, en el ámbito de la ciberseguridad. Y en tercer lugar, una capacidad de anticipación a los problemas, no únicamente reaccionar ante las amenazas, sino ser capaces de anticiparnos de alguna forma a estas amenazas. Creo que el trabajo desarrollado durante estos días en esta Asamblea ha sido un ejemplo. Creo que hemos llegado a consensos importantes en materia de inmigración, en materia de terrorismo, en materia de libertad religiosa. Me parece que la creación de ese grupo ad hoc en materia de terrorismo realmente puede hacer una contribución significativa en esta línea de anticiparnos a las amenazas y no únicamente reaccionar cada vez que tenemos un atentado con una declaración de condena. Tenemos que perseverar en esa línea y tenemos que también, en un momento que la presidenta de la Asamblea ha descrito ciertas dificultades en el funcionamiento de la organización en el ámbito gubernamental, que esta Asamblea se constituya como un elemento que favorezca el consenso, que favorezca la voluntad de cooperación, que favorezca esa determinación común de enfrentarnos a los graves problemas de seguridad que tenemos que afrontar. Gracias.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is from the UK, Mr. Lord Dubs. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, President. Colleagues, I want to refer to two issues. We've heard a lot about self-determination. It's come up in a number of speeches from delegates, members from different countries. I just think at some point in the future, we need to actually have a proper debate on what we mean by self-determination and how we can move forward. I'm conscious that in the UK, we have two areas, Scotland, where they've had a referendum, they may want another one in the future about independence, and Northern Ireland, where they may want a referendum in the future as to whether they leave the UK and join Ireland. Now, these are important issues, and I just think we shouldn't use the word self-determination so freely. I think we should be careful as to what we mean by it and how we move forward. Second issue I want to raise is the Migration Committee. I know we've debated it in the plenary on our first day. I don't wish to go over the same arguments, but I want to say one or two things. Firstly, I'm aware the situation, particularly in Italy and also in Greece, but maybe even in Serbia, is very, very urgent. And I'm concerned that before the Migration Committee presents its report in Andorra, more time will have gone by, and the difficulties facing Italy in particular will be worsened. So I hope very much that we will take the work so far done by the Migration Committee and bring pressure to bear on our own governments that we should all respond to what is a major crisis. We can't just go back to our capital cities and say, oh, well, we talked about Italy, now we can forget about it. We can't do that. We cannot leave our Italian friends to face the difficulties that they're facing. It has a destabilizing effect on the country, inevitably, and it is just not fair and proper. And could I say one other thing? I know Turkey has come in for a lot of criticism in various debates so far, but I think Turkey also deserves credit for what they've done. I think they have 2.5 million refugees in Turkey, and I think Turkey deserves our full support and deserves our approval. We should say so, that they've done a good job in taking a large number of refugees, and maybe that is an example to, I know Jordan and Lebanon have also done well. It is an example to other countries. And finally, on the question of refugees, I'm particularly concerned about child refugees, who are the most vulnerable of the vulnerable.
and I shall certainly go back to London and argue very hard with the British government that we should take more child refugees, and I hope colleagues here will do the same when they go back to their cities and say their governments should take more child refugees as a matter of urgency. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for, again, moving our hearts and raising the issue. The next speaker is from Lithuania, Mr. Kaskunias. You have the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, Russia tends to say what it protects and liberates the people in the neighboring countries. But look at the reality of it. Russia is surrounded by frozen conflicts it started, while those territories like Abkhazia or Crimea are going down on all economic and human rights criteria. Neighbors and common people pay for the geopolitical ambitions of Kremlin. Russia is using frozen conflicts to block the Euro-Atlantic aspirations of neighboring countries and Western geopolitical orientation. Also, what I want to say, it is quite ironic to hear from Russia representatives speaking about freedom of speech and freedom of media. We need to separate journalism from propaganda. Russian propaganda is not freedom of speech or freedom of media. And last point, it is about Russian tactics in Eastern Europe. Russia first occupies the part of the country, and then after that they call for peace and negotiations and dialogue. That's why we should be very careful and not to transform the engagement and dialogue into appeasement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is from the Russian Federation, Mr. Turov. You have the floor.
Добрый день, уважаемые коллеги. Мне хотелось бы как раз в разделе выступления коллеги из Литвы и из других стран сказать обратить внимание на политику двойных стандартов, которая проводится рядом стран-участниц нашей парламентской ассамблеи. И в том числе вчерашнее заседание Третьего постоянного комитета еще раз подтверждает эту, к сожалению, негативную тенденцию. Во-первых, вчера принята резолюция по Восточной Европе, и само ее определение, название вносит конфронтацию. И название делит наш общий регион ОБСЕ на Западную и на Восточную Европу, где одна часть получает, как жить другой части. И некоторая позиция наших коллег, к сожалению, напоминает подход 40-х годов прошлого века, когда одна часть населения Европы считала себя выше другой части населения Европы. Мы знаем, к чему, каким печальным событиям это привело. Коллеги, по порядку хотелось бы несколько пунктов по этому направлению определить. Первое. Соблюдение прав человека, о котором нам вчера наш шведский коллега очень долго говорил, про проведение собраний и митингов в ряде стран Восточной Европы, которые авторы высказывали. Давайте вспомним, как проводится разгон митингов и свободных собраний в странах Западной Европы. Я думаю, никому не надо об этом рассказывать, и последние события в Гамбурге этому прямое подтверждение. Второе направление про двойные стандарты в работе СМИ. Когда блокируются каналы информационные, когда журналистам не дают работать, об этом очень подробно рассказал мой коллега Журавлев. И мы считаем это неприемлемо, работать с такими двойными подходами, когда для одних это свобода распространения информации, а другим приклеивают штампы пропаганды, как сделали наши коллеги из Литвы сейчас. Третье. О невмешательстве в внутренние дела суверенных государств. Но давайте мы откровенно скажем, и это все прекрасно знают, какие страны и как вмешивались в суверенные дела государств. И государственный переворот на Украине в 2014 году этому яркое подтверждение. Четвертый вопрос. О претензии к проведению выборов, которые регулярно звучат от наших коллег. Но мы реально знаем примеры в США и в Европе, когда не допускались и наблюдатели, и международные миссии. Поэтому, коллеги, мы обращаемся ко всем уходить от политики двойных стандартов. Спасибо большое.
Thank you very much. Before I call the next speaker, allow me to give the floor to the Secretary General, Roberto Montella, for a few words.
Thank you, Madam President. This is not my report. I'll report later on, but we just wanted to take a few minutes to do a little moment of recognition of some prominent members of this Assembly. And for now, I would like to call on the stage Ms. Artadade, who is leaving the Assembly, and she will be recognized by the President. Ms. Artadade has served for many years for the Assembly. She's leaving the Assembly with this session, so she gets a little present from the President.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Roberto. Thank you, everybody. Dear colleagues, it has been the greatest pleasure, and working with this Assembly for 13 years has given me so much pleasure, but I think I have done just my duty, representing my country, and to give up our fight, it would not be proper. We have to continue our fight for the values this organization stands, and we all have embraced. So to work for these values, it's not necessary to be present here physically, but we need to work together to bring our countries closer in the spirit of solidarity, compromise, and resolving the challenges through the values of this organization. Thank you very much, and I wish all the best to you and to all families.
Thank you,
Thank you very much. You've helped me so much.
Shall we make a picture? They've made so many. Of course, there are members that are leaving, but there are members that are staying, and we now want to recognize four special people who have been with the Assembly for 25 years. They mark with this session their 25th year, but they're not leaving the Assembly, so they will stay on with us. First of all, Vice President Roberto Battelli, who represents the members here. Roberto. And of course, one aspect of our Assembly that is very important is the Secretaries of Delegations. We have two who, with this session, also mark their 25th year, is Pia Califano, who will come to the stage. And Milan Pektovic from Croatia. So we have members, secretaries of delegations, but of course also the Secretariat as members who have served for 25 years. And I call on the podium Ms. Kurt Leras, who has been with us for 25 years and continues to stay with us. Kurt.
We all start, you know. Yes, well.
Let's wait.
Something will be
Kurt,
missing.
we need you first.
So,
Madam President, you will hand over these. Ladies first.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Why don't we move a bit here because there is a curtain there for it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
Finally.
Thank you for. So you can keep us always in mind.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Dear colleagues and friends, yes, it has been 25 years that I don't regret at all. Our organization, this assembly, is something unique. There is something that which value we could fully understand only if the assembly would not exist. I can tell you that I've learned a lot working for the assembly. I learned how to understand other countries, how to respect the people of other countries. I learned how democracy is functioning in our area, and I'm grateful for, deeply grateful for this experience that I believe is made of me a better person that I would be than I would be without having this experience. And I wish you also to have such feelings when you operate here and when you interact with the other members. I am deeply grateful, and I thank you very much also on behalf of some of my colleagues with whom I shared all this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now the floor back to the chair who will resume the work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So now let's continue. And the next speaker would be Ruta Miliūtė from Lithuania. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Dear ladies and gentlemen, important resolutions were discussed and adopted during this session, but I would like to use the opportunity and point out that we need to strengthen international cooperation to ensure that human rights and fundamental freedoms are not discussed behind closed doors in OEC, United Nations, Council of Europe, European Parliament, and so on, but it is a matter of public debate involving civil society representatives. Therefore, I would strongly encourage all participant countries, including of my own, to follow the Universal Periodic Review recommendations. And for the hosting country, Belarus, in addition to this Universal Periodic Review recommendations, it should also cooperate more with the UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in Belarus, whose mandate was renewed in 2016. The practice to limit participation of the civil society and put various obstacles to the NGOs' work has to be addressed. It is common not only in countries like Belarus or Russia, and also in some other OEC region countries to limit the civil society, and there are a few recommendations. First of all, the process of registration should be simplified and transparent, and the second recommendation would be allow international support and foreign aid to the NGO community. We all know that NGOs are essential for democratic countries, so I encourage everyone to pay more attention to the international cooperation, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much for that. Then I would like to give the floor to Mr. Selil Gosher from Turkey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I should like to once again thank our Belarusian hosts for their generous hospitality and excellent organization. Second, I thank colleagues who offered constructive contributions and comments on the resolutions. We may not think alike on every matter, but it is important to maintain dialogue based on mutual respect and understanding. Mr. President, Mr. Chair, I also share the sadness expressed by some of our colleagues yesterday and today. The conference on Cyprus unfortunately closed without any results. Turkey engaged constructively and with goodwill during every stage of the conference to reach a just and sustainable settlement in the Cyprus issue. The Turkish side presented many proposals to take the process forward and reach a successful conclusion. But despite all our efforts, the conference did not succeed. Our constructive proposals in security and guarantees chapter were not reciprocated. There was also no agreement on the negotiation chapters between the two sides on the island. The Greek Cypriot side even backtracked from existing convergences and demonstrated a lack of political will. The existing parameters of the UN Good Officials mission could not provide the settlement, but we must not stop. We wish hopeful. Different parameters and approaches must be found to settle the issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Then I give the floor to Nikolai Brikin from Russian Federation.
Спасибо. Глубоко уважаемый господин председатель, уважаемые коллеги, для России являются очень важными вопросы человеческого измерения ОБСЕ. Вынужден констатировать, что в деятельности ОБСЕ на протяжении долгого времени сохраняется несбалансированность между тремя измерениями ОБСЕ, а также тематические и географические перекосы в работе третьей корзины. Руководство гуманитарных структур ОБСЕ игнорирует нарушение прав человека в государствах Прибалтики, где основных прав и свобод лишена значительная часть населения. При этом незамеченные остаются проблемы лиц африканского происхождения в Соединенных Штатах Америки и случаи неправомерного, непропорционального применения силы американскими полицейскими. Не вызывает у них опасений рост проявлений национализма и неонацизма Западной Европы, а также правозащитные аспекты нынешней миграционной ситуации в Евросоюзе и коренные ее причины. Широкомасштабное нарушение прав человека, преследование инакомыслящих, убийство общественных и политических деятелей, журналистов, притеснение национальных меньшинств на Украине также не получает адекватной реакции исполнительной структуры ОБСЕ. Вместе с тем в фокусе внимания оказываются даже самые незначительные случаи, произошедшие в странах к востоку от Вены. Невостребованы в ОБСЕ остаются такие важнейшие правозащитные темы, как защита прав детей, социально-экономические права, защита прав нацменьшинств с акцентом на проблематику безгражданства, противодействие распространению национализма и неонацизма, свобода передвижения, обещание прав на вмешательство в частную жизнь, противодействие трейфингу, с упором на торговлю органами ткани человека, согласовано единых органов соблюдения за выборы верховенства права. Вместо этого некоторые страны-участницы с настойчиво заслуживая лучшего применения вбрасывают для обсуждения в рамках гуманитарного измерения одни и те же темы, что ярко проявляется из года в год на обзорном совещании Варшавы. Продолжение этой линии, несомненно, будет негативно иметь последствия для авторитета организации. Непозволительным является наблюдающее в последнее время в ОБСЕ размывание межправительственного формата организации принципа консенсуса. Необходимо разработать механизм участия НПО в гуманитарных мероприятиях. В настоящее время каких-либо правил, касающихся участия НПО в правозащитном форуме ОБСЕ, по сути, не существует. При всей важности работы гражданского общества на площадке организации оно не может и не должно подменять государства-участники. Все вышеперечисленное говорит, на наш взгляд, о назревшей необходимости реформирования модальности гуманитарных мероприятий ОБСЕ. Наши подходы к изменению модальности совещаний в области человеческого измерения являются частью видения глубокой реформы организации в целях установления баланса между всеми тремя корзинами. Благодарю вас за внимание.
Thank you so much. Then I give the floor to Tahir Mirkishvili from Azerbaijan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I would like to join my colleagues and to thank Belarusian authorities for excellent organization of annual sessions. I would like also to convey my sincere gratitude to the members of Assembly for supporting the supplementary items, multiculturalism, the role of the cultural value in the development of democracy in the context of globalizations. In face of rising xenophobia, Islamophobia, intolerance and discrimination against Christian and representatives of other religions, it's the responsibility of all our parliamentarians to stay united and fight against the threats that undermine social and cultural harmony and prevent development in our countries. It's especially important for us as parliamentarians to work on specific legislative measures aimed at fostering dialogue, tolerance, and non-discriminations. It's also important in the context of global combat against terrorism. Terror organizations based on extremist ideologies exploit marginalization in societies to recruit followers for their activities. In this context, promotion of inclusiveness in societies and working out effective strategies to eradicate social, cultural, and economic marginalizations should be in the center of our effort to address the root causes of terrorism. Radicalizations, especially among the youngers, is of serious concern. In this context, I commend the efforts of the Austrian OSCE chairmanship to keep this issue high on the agenda of the organizations. Our Assembly, within its competence and capacities, should support such efforts. Finally, I would like also again to thank my fellow parliamentarians for their cooperation and goodwill, and hopes that decisions taken in the Minsk will be instrumental in our joint efforts to make the OSCE region safer, secure, and more developed. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. Then I would like to give the floor to Ms. Irina Gecht from Russian Federation.
Спасибо, уважаемые коллеги. Мировое сообщество не ослабляет внимания гендерной проблематики, и вопросы равенства между мужчинами и женщинами включены в качестве отдельной цели номер 5 в повестку дня в области устойчивого развития на период до 2030 года. В Российской Федерации работа по обеспечению гендерного равенства ведется с учетом рекомендаций Комитета по ликвидации дискриминации в отношении женщин. В практическом плане используется гендерный подход, определяющий необходимость включения гендерных вопросов во все принимаемые программы и концепции. Россиянки повсеместно ориентированы на полную занятость и карьерный рост, но при этом важным фактором для них остается приверженность традиционным семейным ценностям, включая рождение и воспитание детей. Поэтому наш приоритет – создание условий для оптимального сочетания с женщинами семейной и профессиональной жизни. Продолжая осуществление программ защиты материнства и детства и материального стимулирования повышения рождаемости, мы стремимся к обеспечению более активного вовлечения женщин во все сферы общественных отношений, их большей представленности в политике и экономике. 8 марта 2017 года президент Российской Федерации подписал национальную стратегию действий в интересах женщин. Особое внимание в России уделяется вопросам поддержки института семьи с акцентом на содействие малоимущим семьям и помощь молодым, а также укрепление социальных функций семьи и поощрение солидарности поколений. Благополучие и прочность традиционной семьи, основанной на добровольном и равноправном союзе между мужчиной и женщиной, рассматривается в качестве одной из главных предпосылок для социальной стабильности общества. Ярким примером приверженности Российской Федерации принципу обеспечения подлинного гендерного равенства стало успешное проведение в сентябре 2015 года в Санкт-Петербурге по инициативе Совета Федерации Евразийского женского форума. В повестку дня мероприятия вошли такие значимые вопросы, как обеспечение социальной безопасности и устойчивого развития, международное сотрудничество. Учитывая успех и широкий интерес к мероприятию, было принято решение о придании данной инициативе регулярного характера. В сентябре 2018 года запланировано проведение второго Евразийского женского форума в Санкт-Петербурге, и я приглашаю всех моих коллег принять в нем участие. И последнее. Вчера в России отмечался праздник святых Петра и Февроньи. Это день семьи, любви и верности. Семья, традиционная семья – это душа России, обеспечивающая ее стабильность и процветание. И я поздравляю всех с этим замечательным праздником и призываю парламентариев всех стран направить все усилия на сохранение души, на сохранение традиционных семейных ценностей, культуры и обычаев нашей семьи. Спасибо.
Thank you very much. The last speaker on our list is from Belarus, Mr. Boleslav Pipstuk. You have the floor, please.
Уважаемая госпожа председатель, уважаемые коллеги, подходит к своему завершению 26-я ежегодная сессия ПАО ОБСЕ, очередная для вас и особая для нас, как для принимающего государства. Для Беларуси большая честь и ответственность впервые проводить у себя ключевое мероприятие такого авторитетного межпарламентского форума. Рассматриваем это как признание возрастающего авторитета нашей страны и традиционно конструктивной роли известной линии Республики Беларусь по различным вопросам повестки Парламентской ассамблеи и ОБСЕ в целом. На пленарных заседаниях, в комитетах, в рамках дополнительных мероприятий и неформальных встреч на полях ассамблеи шли горячие дебаты по широкому спектру актуальных и важных для наших стран тем. Все разногласия нам преодолеть не удалось. К сожалению, многие вопросы все еще искусственно политизируются. На многое мы по-прежнему смотрим с разных точек зрения. Но, как говорится, в споре рождается истина. Наверное, в этом и есть суть парламентской дипломатии. Главное, что за эти 5 дней мы еще раз убедились в том, что нет ничего полезнее, чем открытый и конструктивный диалог. Мне представляется, что все мы вместе продвинулись по пути укрепления доверия и сотрудничества во имя мира и процветания. Мы горды тем, что инициирована Беларусью резолюция по противодействию новым психоактивным веществам получила широкую поддержку коллег-депутатов. Благодарим всех тех, кто оформил соавторство и голосовал за нее. Намерены и в дальнейшем активно участвовать в работе нашей ассамблеи в целях продвижения этой и других действительно важных тем, имеющих объединительный характер. В частности, намерены подумать над тем, какую роль парламентская ассамблея могла бы сыграть в продвижении идеи президента Республики Беларусь о запуске дискуссий о необходимости организации нового переговорного процесса, аналогичного Хельсинскому. Готовы к обсуждению этой и иных конструктивных инициатив на предстоящих встречах ассамблеи в Андорре, Вене и Берлине. Желаем успехов их организаторам. Искренне хотим, чтобы каждая сессия ПАО ОБСЕ, все принимаемые резолюции и декларации закрепляли и приумножали наработанный опыт и передовые практики наших стран. Естественно, это потребует от парламентариев консолидированных усилий и взаимных уступок. Эта мысль концептуально заложена в тематику Минской сессии. Хотел бы искренне поблагодарить руководство ПАО ОБСЕ, Международный секретариат, всех участников сессии за конструктивную совместную работу по организации нашего форума и за качественный вклад в его результаты. Надеемся, что ваше пребывание в Республике Беларусь было продуктивным и запоминающимся. Будем рады, если вы увезете из Беларуси самые теплые воспоминания. Спасибо.
I want to thank you very much, and there is a question for the floor, please.
Я прошу, господин председатель, 2 минуты. Гайдукевич, Республика Беларусь. Прошу слова.
Yes, please.
Уважаемый господин председатель, уважаемые присутствующие, я хотел обратить ваше внимание только на одно. Наша страна за последние годы сделала очень многое. Мы учитывали, выполняли все ваши рекомендации. Мы прислушивались к вашему мнению. Наша страна сделала все возможное для работы Минск-2. Мы молодое государство. Нам всего лишь 25 лет суверенитета. Мы учимся и согласны учиться. Мы договорились насчет пошаговой стратегии. Мы выполняем все. Я как лидер партии, я политик, я выступаю сейчас от своего имени. Я прошу вас, Разве можно за такой короткий срок пройти тот путь, когда ваши страны некоторые прошли это за столетия? И вы сейчас принимаете резолюцию против нашей страны. Хорошо, мы учитываем, но это разве правильно? Вы считаете, что вот мы стремимся, делаем, выполняем сейчас все свои усилия, выполняем многие пункты. Я не хочу ваше внимание задерживать, но в этой резолюции даже нету замечания о том, хотя бы маленькое слово, что Беларусь движется в каком-то направлении. Вы понимаете, что я считаю, что это совершенно неправильно. Я благодарю те государства, благодарю тех, кто нас понимал. Я благодарю тех стран, которые проголосовали против этой резолюции, которые воздержались. А вас прошу, уважаемый господин председатель, и все, кто меня слышит, вы понимаете, вот если был ученик в школе, ему дают домашнее задание, и он не хочет ничего делать, это одно. А когда люди стремятся консолидироваться с вами, мы вас слышим, мы понимаем, что демократия для всех одинакова, права человека для всех одинаковы. Но можно ли дать хотя бы время какое-то, чтобы и не... Прошло 5 лет, я присутствовал на парламентской ассамблее в 1999 году в Стамбуле, в 2002 году в Берлине, и все все равно ничего не изменилось. Все мы улыбаемся, и я бы очень хотел, чтобы на следующих заседаниях этого не повторялось. Я вас прошу это услышать. Я благодарен вам всем, что вы здесь. Я благодарен, что вы меня слышите. Я надеюсь, что в будущем у нас будет лучше. Спасибо.
Thank you very much. We are very grateful to our hosts. We move on. We come to item number 2. We continue now. We come to the next debate. We will move on to the address by the Director of the Office of the OSCE Secretary General, Ambassador Paul Beckers. Please note that Ambassador Beckers' address, after his address, we will take questions from the floor. If you sign up for a question, time permitting, you may also indicate that you wish to speak during the sitting. Dear Paul Beckers, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Madam President, thank you, and thank you very much for your kind words earlier this morning. Secretary General, honorable delegates, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, I am very honored to speak to you, and it is great to be back in Belarus. I was actually in a recent previous life accredited to this very interesting country, and it's very good to be back. It's my first time back. Also, congratulations on being such great hosts of this annual session. Having said that, it would have been much better if it wasn't me, but somebody else standing here. We now face the unprecedented situation of the OSCE being without a Secretary General. I think the words of the President were very clear this morning. I'm afraid it's a reflection of the current climate in which we are unable to constructively work together and think in win-win situations, scenarios. Talking about the Secretary General, what I will say, I will of course be speaking on my own account, but I also intend to reflect the spirit of the former OSCE Secretary General, Lamberto Zanier, for whom I have great respect and admiration. So I aim to evoke his passion in defending our essential and yet too often underutilized organization, and to reiterate his calls to make it more effective. Honorable delegates, we are committed to fostering productive cooperation among all segments of the OSCE, and you, the Parliamentary Assembly, play a crucial role in this. I would like here to echo Ambassador Zanier, who referred to the Parliamentary Assembly as an important member of our big OSCE family, which plays a key role in promoting OSCE values, principles, and commitments. Under the leadership of Secretary General Roberto Montella, our relations with the PA have entered a new era, While fully acknowledging our respective roles, we have developed constructive and fruitful cooperation. We have established well-consolidated mechanisms which are proving to be effective and helpful. Cooperation between the PA and ODIHR on this election observation is becoming a flagship for the OSCE as a whole. And these exchanges and common efforts have helped to ensure complementarity in our work and have increased our outreach and effectiveness. At this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, I also like to show my great appreciation for the excellent work done and the leadership by President Mutonen and her team. Thank you. Honorable delegates, my presentation this morning consists of 3 points. Firstly, I would like to share with you some general observation. I'll be brief because it will probably be familiar to you. But observations on the difficult security environment we live in and on how important the OSCE is as a platform for dialogue. I will then focus on, and that will be the core of my message this morning, that in my view, we could make this organization stronger and more effective. I think it's crucial at this point in time. And lastly, I will be calling on you, honorable delegates, to support us in these efforts in your influential capacity as parliamentarians. Some general remarks, observations. We face a rapidly evolving security landscape with growing fragmentation and polarization within our region and within our societies. Divergent threat perceptions have appeared. Trust and confidence in East-West relations have diminished. Military predictability has deteriorated. Interstate relations are increasingly governed by a zero-sum mentality, and the divides within our region seem to be deepening month by month. It has been said many times before, but it needs to be said time and time again, that in this difficult environment, the OSCE is a unique platform for inclusive dialogue accepted by all parties on the most relevant security issues on the agenda. But, ladies and gentlemen, then I come to the core of my message. The OSCE has great potential to do more. So it is time to reform, to adapt, and to revive results-oriented dialogue. Current security challenges require a space for engagement. It is our common responsibility to make full use of the OSCE's potential and to help build a safer, a more stable future for all of us. So, what should be done? First and foremost, I would argue that we need to have a fundamental debate on the OSCE's role in this changing world. Traditional relations are changing. Look at the relationship with Europe and the US. And new developments are emerging, such as migration, and I carefully listened to the Italian and the UK delegates speaking just now. New threats emerging, like terrorism. In this changing environment, we need to change as well and think about how to use our unique platform in the best possible way. And we need to look at the instruments that enable us to achieve our goals. Because investing in and protecting our organization are essential preconditions for creating the environment for this much needed dialogue. So where do we need to adapt? Where do we need to reform? How can we make the OSCE stronger? And here I'd like to focus on 4 elements. There are more, but let me focus on 4. First of all, the dialogue we see in Vienna. Secondly, discussions on budget, now more or less twice a year instead of once every 2 years. Thirdly, the lack of legal personality. And fourth, our crown jewels, the field offices. So first, the dialogue. We need to reform the way we work with and engage with each other. Instead of an instrument for dialogue, the Permanent Council in Vienna has become a forum for parallel monologues, and it risks turning into a forum for confrontation, whereas the organization is meant to be and needs to be a space for genuine discussions. Secondly, this could help also our discussions on the budget, which are becoming every year more difficult. Instead of focusing on major security problems facing our region, participating states are increasingly occupied with the daily operations of the organizations, and we lose a sense of proportion and priorities. Considering the incredible array of challenges we face and the mandates the organization bears, 140 million euro is an astonishingly modest budget, a very modest budget. To put it into perspective, it is the equivalent to what the European Parliament spends each year just on its own security, 140 million. Several delegations in Vienna have been wisely advocating for a multi-year budget, which would not only align us with other international organizations, but would also make us more efficient and therefore more effective. Thirdly, the OSCE's lack of a formally recognized legal personality poses a major risk to the organization. We have not yet been able to reach consensus on this issue. As a result of this, the organization had to resort to acquiring de facto legal personality through a number of agreements and MOUs with host countries. Just 3 days ago, in the Permanent Council, the Audit Committee said, and I quote, "Acquiring legal personality would strengthen our effectiveness and would make the organization stronger and more credible in all fields we operate in." A stronger OSCE means a more stable and secure European and Eurasian space. Clear language by the Audit Committee. Fourth and last, the current concept of a field presence stems from the 1990s. It could perhaps use an update. We could revitalize this exceptional operational tool by investing more in providing tailored practical assistance. We could also consider opening offices with a regional or thematic focus, which could also be located west of Vienna, and function as OSCE representations or information offices to promote our work and the principles we stand for. Ladies and gentlemen, let me come to the third and final part of my presentation. Parliamentarians are well equipped and positioned to encourage their governments to engage constructively in the political dialogue in Vienna. The Parliamentary Assembly has already proven its extraordinary potential and effectiveness in promoting dialogue between various sides. The OSCE stands ready to continue working on our common security and on a whole range of issues affecting it, from cybersecurity to terrorism, from arms control to climate change. But we need sufficient support from your capitals for the necessary reforms and to fulfill a mandate effectively. You can make the difference, reminding your governments that the OSCE provides very good value for very little money. As I said earlier, investing in and protecting the organization are preliminary conditions for the general dialogue. I urge all of you, when you return to your capitals, to use your leverage to increase political support for the OSCE, for the reform it needs, advocate for strengthening the organization's legal personality, and mobilize sufficient resources to support its work. You can help make the organization even more effective and make the OSCE region safer for all of us. I thank you humbly.
Thank you very much, dear Paul. Thank you for your open and kind words. Thank you for your reflections. Also thank you for your support and your cooperation, which we experienced over the last years, I can say. So thank you very much for that. So we come to the next item on our agenda. This is the report of the Treasurer of the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly, Ms. Doris Bonnet. Dear Doris, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mrs. President. Dear colleagues, I will be very brief in my report to the plenary this morning, even so the paper that I got from my friend Gustavo Ponerse is a little bit long. However, I was happy to hear that the OSCE Ministerial Committee sees us as a very important partner. Thank you. I hope you will remember that later on. Allow me to warmly thank the Parliament of Belarus and to all of the local authorities and to all of the people helping us outside and in the hotel and the excellent staff for the great support provided to our Assembly by hosting and organizing this annual session here in Minsk. Thank you so very much, dear people from Belarus. Dear colleagues, I'm very pleased to report to the plenary that the finances of our Parliamentary Assembly continues to be in very good order, and therefore the Standing Committee has last Wednesday unanimously approved the Assembly's budget for the next financial year. As you know, our financial year will start next October 1st and will conclude next year on the 30th of September. I have ensured that our budget complies with and reflects the effort of our parliaments to minimize expenses and remain within our objectives of austerity and accountability in the use of our taxpayers' money. But we cannot allow to be underfinanced if we want to do our work. The approved budget for 2017 and 18 presented no significant increases, just a minor adjustment of 2% related to an increase of 65,000 euros in the total budget for the whole year. As you heard, the Ministerial Council has a budget of 140 million euros, so 65,000 euros isn't that very much. I will not go into specific details on the approved budget. It is available for you outside together with my full report. I am at your full disposal to answer questions here or anytime. Please feel free to contact me anytime through the Secretariat. Starting next week and following the established practice, you will be receiving through Deputy Secretary General Gustavo Ponerse a letter from me regarding the contribution for our Parliament for the coming year. And it would be nice if we could get the 100% again timely. Thank you already today for your cooperation. I'm also very satisfied that the Bureau and the Standing Committee have endorsed the financial regulations prepared by our Secretary General. This was very necessary. With the clear lines specified, I think we can all be confident that our resources will continue to be used effectively, ensuring the accountability in the management of our finances. I wish to sincerely congratulate Secretary General Montella and his deputy Gustavo Ponerse and the whole team for their efforts in making this institution so efficient in such a transparent, accountable, and cost-effective way. President, colleagues, as always, I appeal to the solidarity of our national parliaments and your governments. It is essential that national delegations contribute to support the Assembly by hosting meetings, seconding personnel, and making extra budget contributions. Very special thanks, therefore, to the Parliament of Denmark, our biggest contributor by far by hosting our International Secretariat in Copenhagen. Thanks to Italy for seconding 2 very valuable staff members, and thanks to the Austrian government for assisting with the financing of the liaison office in Vienna. Let me conclude by thanking all of you for electing me for another mandate as treasurer of this Assembly and trusting me again with the important task of coordinating the budget and finance of our Assembly. I'm always at your entire disposal to discuss any proposals you may have to enhance the important work of our Parliamentary Assembly. And now, please, since I have the microphone, I put on another hat. And this is the head, not the head of treasurer, but the head of the German delegation, and therefore I switch over to German. Die 26. Jahrestagung der Parlamentarischen Versammlung geht gleich zu Ende. Vorher nutze ich sehr gerne die Gelegenheit, Sie schon heute zur 27. Jahrestagung unserer Parlamentarischen Versammlung nach Berlin einzuladen. Heute, in einem Jahr, werden wir mitten im Herzen unserer Hauptstadt, im Reichstagsgebäude, in unseren Beratungen sitzen. Die Vorbereitungen im Bundestag haben längst begonnen, um eine gute Jahrestagung auf die Beine zu stellen. Unser Bestreben ist, dass sie sich einreiht in die bemerkenswerte Tradition von Jahrestagungen, bei denen wir oft über kontroverse Themen sprechen, teilweise auch heftig diskutieren und uns manchmal sogar heftig streiten, und das immer mit einem Ziel: die parlamentarische Dimension in der OSZE zu stärken. Ich freue mich persönlich sehr darüber, dass der Bundestag nach 16 Jahren wieder der Ort ist, um an genau diesem Ziel zu arbeiten. Wir wissen heute noch nicht, welche Themen uns in einem Jahr genau beschäftigen werden, denn ob die Welt bis dahin etwas friedlicher geworden ist, ob es uns gelungen sein wird, den Terrorismus einzudämmen, das weiß heute keiner, und es hängt ja auch nicht von uns alleine ab. Menschlicher könnten wir sie machen, wenn wir Ängste in unseren Ländern überwinden könnten. Ängsten vor anderen Meinungen, vor Widerspruch, vor offener Diskussion. Im 21. Jahrhundert sollten wir dem Diskurs mit unseren Bürgerinnen und Bürgern aktiv suchen, ihn nicht verhindern oder gar bestrafen. Ich bin mir sicher, dass wir in 2018 gute Diskussionen führen und eine interessante Berliner Entschließung verabschieden werden. Während wir tagen, kann um uns herum der Sommer in Berlin genossen werden. Denn zu der Zeit wird ja auch in Russland die Fußballweltmeisterschaft ausgetragen. Wir alle haben dann auch die Möglichkeit, mit vielen Fußballfans auf der Fanmeile zu feiern, die in Höhe und Sehweite vom Reichstagsgebäude ist. Wir werden jedenfalls alles daran setzen, und da spreche ich auch schon für meine Kolleginnen und Kollegen, die nach der Wahl am 24. September dieses Jahres in den Bundestag einziehen werden, eine rundum angenehme Konferenzatmosphäre zu schaffen, am Tag wie am Abend. Wie Sie wissen, ist unser Bundespräsident Frank-Walter Steinmeier der OSZE als ehemaliger Außenminister sehr eng verbunden. Er freut sich heute schon darauf, Sie, uns alle, zu einem Empfang in das Schloss Bellevue einzuladen. Mehr werde ich jetzt noch nicht verraten. Ich hoffe, Sie sind neugierig geworden und freuen sich auf unsere 27. Jahrestagung im kommenden Jahr. Ich jedenfalls kann es kaum abwarten, Sie, die Kolleginnen und Kollegen aus 57 Mitgliedstaaten und Ihre Begleitung vom 7. bis 11. Juli 2018 in Berlin willkommen heißen zu dürfen. Und noch etwas. Es ist für uns auch eine Selbstverständlichkeit, dass wir, ODIHR und die Wahlbeobachterinnen und Wahlbeobachter der Parlamentarischen Versammlung der OSZE und des Europarates, wie auch die Mitglieder des Europaparlaments einladen, die kommenden Bundestagswahlen am 24. September 2017 zu beobachten. Wir, die Delegierten aus Deutschland, würden uns natürlich sehr freuen, wenn wir Kolleginnen und Kollegen aus unserer Organisation als Beobachter in unseren Wahlkreisen willkommen heißen zu dürfen. Also melden Sie sich bitte nicht nur für Berlin, kommen Sie zu uns nach ganz Deutschland. Lassen Sie mich Ihnen zum Schluss zurufen, herzlich willkommen in Deutschland. Vielen Dank.
Dear Doris, thank you very much. Thank you for wearing these three hats, in fact. First of all, for your important work as a treasurer, thank you very much. But also thank you for the invitation to Berlin. We are very glad that we will be in July in Berlin, and I could see some eyes blinking from here when you mentioned the World Cup next year. So, well, there will be a lot of people coming, but I hope they will all attend the session as well. And then also thank you very much for the invitation to observe the elections. I'm sure there are many of us who would like to come and observe the elections in Germany in autumn. Are there any comments? This is not the case. Thank you very much. So we move on to the next item. It's the report of the Secretary General of the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly, Mr. Roberto Montella, and his eyes were blinking even if I didn't see it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. I've reported already at the Standing Committee on the first day, and I've distributed my written report. It's on the table and outside on the racks. So allow me, Mr. President, Madam President, just to use this opportunity to express few words of gratitude and make few highlights on my report. First of all, I would like to express a sincere and very heartfelt thank to the Belarusian Parliament, to the entire team who has organized this event. The event has been a great success. I've spoken to many delegations during the receptions. They all say that the event is extremely well organized. They're all extremely happy. And so I think the word of gratitude to the Parliament, to the authorities, but to all the people who have worked for this event. So thank you very much. These events would not be possible without, of course, the help of the International Secretariat. And here I would like to recognize the work of the OSCE PA team, Gustavo, Odile, Semyon, Kurt, Bo, Stephen, and I'm sure I'm forgetting many others. All of those who work on these events, they have a great experience in doing this. They normally do this in a long period of time. They come to visit in pre-assessment visits. So thank you very much, Gustavo, and the entire organization team. A word of thanks to the interpreters and translators who have been here even before we arrived to prepare the documents. They work under a lot of time pressure. Last night they worked until the very late hours to get the Minsk declaration in place. So thank you to the interpreters and to all those who have worked in the drafting committee. This event has been one of the most participated. We basically had all the delegation except from Mongolia, who just had an election, and Moldova. So it's been a big success also in terms of participation with big numbers. But I would like to spend just a word for the delegation of Uzbekistan, to thank them for participating. It's the first time they come to an annual session after a long period of interruption. This was also thanks to the mediation work of the president, who spoke to their foreign minister in Hamburg, and also to a recent visit of President Mutonin in Tashkent, which was the first visit in a long time to Uzbekistan. But also a word of thanks to Mr. Vice President Azayguliev, who has also been instrumental in at high-level contacts with the foreign minister of Uzbekistan to ensure that the Uzbeks participate in this event. So thank you to Uzbekistan. And not to forget also Ambassador McGregor, from the head of the OSCE mission, who is here, who is also helping us in contacts with the delegation in Uzbekistan. Okay, now I would like to congratulate also the Belarusian authorities and the OSCE PA team on choosing the theme. You have chosen a very pointed theme, enhancing trust, building confidence. This is the theme at the very center of the OSCE debate. We've heard from Ambassador Beckers how difficult it is in the Permanent Council. It's blocks, it's a ping-pong logic. Here in this assembly, we have a possibility to come out of this logic of confrontation. You've chosen a theme, enhancing trust, building confidence. We do not have a recipe on how we build confidence, how we enhance trust. My gut feeling tells me that a good way to start is to start from mutual respect. Come out of the logic that some of us know better than others, but try to respect each other when we engage in dialogue. That would be a good methodology to apply to our form of dialogue. Respect. I would say also no double standards has been mentioned in many of the interventions, and credibility of the international organizations. When we go in some places and we want to invite countries to adhere to some of the commitments of the OSCE, we must make sure that we have done our homework back at home. So it's very important to have maximum credibility and not exercise double standards. The OSCE situation, you've seen a very plastic figure today. We have 4 vacant chairs. This is for us something that we very much regret, because this Parliamentary Assembly is always called for a very strong OSCE. But unfortunately, as the OSCE works by consensus, the participating states in Vienna have not managed yet to find a consensus of who should be the holders of the position of Secretary General, of Director of the ODIHR, head of the freedom of the media, and the High Commissioner for National Minorities. Unfortunately, we do not have this position filled up as of today. We have, of course, people who are very strong in holding these offices, but we want the OSCE to have strong people and of high-level people in these positions. And something that you could do after this meeting when you go back home maybe would be to each of you make a phone call to your foreign minister, as they will all meet next week on Tuesday in Austria. Maybe ask them to try to find a way to get consensus over these 4 positions. There are candidates already in place, so that we can move on to a more effective business in the OSCE from Wednesday onwards. The internal situation of the Parliamentary Assembly, I don't want to take too much into details of what has been done since I've taken office, but one of my priorities was to give a bit of a more infrastructure also to the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly. So together with Gustavo and the management, we have now a new set of staffing rules. You've heard from the Treasurer also that the Standing Committee on the first day approved a new set of financial rules. And you will see from the budget structure, we also have introduced a new structure to our budget. So now we have a set of rules that govern the way also the International Secretariat serves you. This increases accountability, it increases transparency. Basically, it gives the ownership of the Assembly back to who it belongs, the members, and it makes the International Secretariat more accountable to the members. In terms of cooperation with the OSCE, I thank very much Ambassador Beckers for the words you've said. Indeed, the cooperation is as good as it gets. We have never had this strong level of cooperation with the OSCE structures in Vienna, with the ODIHR. The basic principle that we applied here is that rather than having a continuous conflict or a continuous polemic with the institutions of the OSCE, what we should do is to put all our assets together and focus on why this OSCE is there. I mean, what's the point of the OSCE? We have to focus on what are the issues on the ground. The challenge that we have, terrorism, migration, child trafficking, all the issues that we have debated over these last 5 days. So the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly works together with the rest of the institutions to deliver concrete results on the ground. This is a mature parliamentary assembly that calls on the governmental side to deliver concrete results on the ground. By talking on the cooperation, I would like to also spend a word to recognize the great legacy that Ambassador Lamberto Zanier leaves to the organization. He has been a sincere advocate of the work of parliamentarians. He has shown a great respect for this assembly. He has on his own decided to meet members of parliament wherever he visited in participating states. This has been a great change in attitude from the governmental side, and therefore a great word of gratitude to Lamberto Zanier, and a great word of gratitude also to Michael Link, the departing director of the ODIHR. It is also thanks to him, to his fact that he is also a former politician, so he understands politician well, that the cooperation on election monitoring is dramatically increased, and it's now, we have always talked about this relationship with the ODIHR, now it's sort of superseded in its history now. The relations is good, so hopefully we will no longer have this issue on the agenda in the next meetings. A word to also thank Mr. Lombardi and the entire Migration Committee. The way the Migration Committee, with the help of Farima, has operated is a sheer example of how I would like this assembly to operate. With a focus on the issues, on the dramatic issues that are on the ground. They have been everywhere possible. They have met every possible actor that is prominent in this issue, And they have set also an example on how the new committee, and here I congratulate also the Standing Committee in adopting the historical Russian proposal, but now presidential proposal on establishing an ad hoc committee on terrorism. The way the Migration Committee has worked, the modus operandi can be also a very good example for the incoming ad hoc committee on the fight against terrorism, and that committee will be indeed at the forefront of our activities in the next months. To conclude, I would like to thank you, Madam President, for your leadership, thank the members for confirming you as President for another year. You have given this Assembly, if you want to, there will be also an official announcement later on. but really to thank you for your leadership over this Assembly. You have really embodied the example of the way you impose and you impress dialogue, the way I've described it before, showing respect, showing no double standards. I've been with you in many of these visits, and I've seen how the interlocutors you interact with receive you. I think it's to your merit that there is also a different atmosphere in this Assembly. There is, of course, many countries have different opinions from each other. There are many issues that divide us, but the way you have operated has unified a lot of members, and you can see that there is a very good atmosphere in these members, and this is very much thanks to your work, Madam President. So with this, I would like to also thank all the members of this Assembly who show me very many times expressions of sympathy, of friendship. I very much like personal contact with all of you, and I hope we can continue this in the future. Thank you very much.
Dear Roberto, thank you very much. Thank you for your good work, first of all. Thank you for the spirit of transparency that we have in here. Thank you, of course, for your kind words. And I think the Secretariat as a whole, with you leading the Secretariat, does such an enormous work. It's a small, there's 2 small offices more or less, and we are very grateful to the work that you do. So I also want to thank the staff of the Secretariat from the deepest of my heart. Thank you. Are there any comments? Yes, please. Colleague from Canada, please.
Yes, thank you. Senator Down from Canada. You mentioned in your report about the cooperation with the OSCE. I'm just wondering if you could expand on that. What happens to the resolutions, the documents that come from here? Are they actually presented to the OSCE ministers? Is there debate on it? How is that done? If you could explain that, please.
Thank you very much for the question. This touches upon a very delicate issue which we've been debated yesterday also in the Rules Committee, which talks about our proceedings. All this work that has been done here will be summarized in the Minsk Declaration that you are about to approve. And after this, the procedure is as follows, and I will describe it to you, but I have concerns about the effectiveness of the procedures. These declarations will be sent by me in a letter to foreign ministers. I wonder what kind of attention will be given to my letter to the foreign ministers, but that's beyond the point. The declaration then will be presented by Ambassador Notelle in our Vienna office to delegates in Vienna. It will happen next week or in 2 weeks' time. Normally in July, the OSCE in Vienna is ready to go on holiday, so probably Ambassador Notelle's meeting, and I've been in those meetings in the last 7 years, will be attended from some ambassadors, some interested countries whose declarations or whose resolutions are particularly of interest to them, some number 2, number 3s in the embassies, but I would say not always from a very, very attentive crowd. I mean, but Ambassador Notelle does a great job in making a synopsis of these annual sessions. Very often I have learned a lot of things that have happened in these annual sessions from Ambassador Notelle's summary. So the summary is very effective. However, the ears is sometimes not a very attentive ear. Then we go on holiday in August. In September, we start with the process of drafting ministerial declarations for the ministerial meeting that takes place in December. And the ministerial declarations are normally on issues like trafficking, like migrations, exactly the issues that you have debated here. But in 7 years, I have never seen in Vienna the delegates saying, well, as we want to draft something on migration, let's see what was just approved back in Minsk. It's a brand new drafting. The reason for this is because this assembly works by majority, of course, so some of the resolutions are contested and some countries disagree. The OSCE governmental side works by consensus. So they will not find the language that we approved here satisfactory to them. So our effort mainly, and Ambassador's effort with his colleagues in Vienna, is to go to all the committees where these documents are discussed and try to introduce some of the language or recognition of the work that the Parliamentary Assembly has done. This process goes from September to December. Then in December, at the Ministerial meeting, they have ministerial declarations that in the last years, very few have been approved, the ministerial declarations, let alone the ones where the OSCE might be mentioned in a sentence. And that's it. Then the ministerial declaration is approved. The ministers will pay some attention to it, some not. The OSCE is not a legally binding organization, so we make political commitments. So also if these are approved, they become only political commitments. And this is the process. So this is technically what happens. I think there is a value also in the process itself, but it's very important what you do also back in your parliaments with this and how much you engage your governments in ensuring that they look into what we have approved here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to remind you there are 5 more minutes, so you can go to the elections. Please, there is another intervention. Hedi Frey, please, you have the floor.
To take this opportunity to thank Roberto Montella. I have seen the difference in the way that we have progressed in our attitudes and the way that we've run things around here, and I really want to thank you for that. You've brought a fresh outlook, and there is a huge amount of discussion with everyone in terms of how you should move forward and what you do. I also want to personally thank you for asking Gustavo to, at that high level, to ensure that gender has become a priority of the OSCE. So thank you very much. Christine, obviously, you know I think you've done a great job, and I just want to congratulate you on that, because I have noted the tone in this particular meeting. I have been at past meetings, and sometimes when we disagreed in a sort of verbally violent manner. I noticed that while we disagreed today, or the last few days, that there was a respectful, not always sort of gentle, but quite often very vocally but respectful responses to some of the things that we disagreed on. And finally, I just wanted to take the opportunity on behalf of the Canadian delegation to thank our hosts here in Belarus and to say that we have enjoyed their hospitality. We've enjoyed the way everything has moved very smoothly, and I want to say that their cultural evenings have been extraordinary. So thank you very much from the Canadian delegation.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Hedi Frey. I just wanted to say on the gender perspective, it's not by chance that these nice changes and also the internal reform of the Parliamentary Assembly happens in a moment where we have a female president and a female treasurer. We are under strict scrutiny and strict instructions, so thank you to their leadership.
So you see, thank you very much. I just want to give us a short comment also on the first question which was put. I am going to be at the meeting of the informal meeting of the foreign ministers in 2 days' time on Tuesday, very close to Vienna. And I can assure you that I will bring our work to their close attention when all the ministers meet. So this is very important for me because we have a strong voice there. So we, the Parliamentary Assembly, me is invited to be there, and I will do this, and they will get the information about the meeting here and about the Minsk Declaration. And then, of course, as Roberto already mentioned, I think what is very important is also to bring this work, this international work we do here, back to our parliaments, and we really have to discuss it in parliaments, so to see that the value of this work can be seen and is discussed, and then, you know, then it takes its way. So we try on all we try always to show the important work and the important discussions and our declarations to the people at home and to the foreign ministers. Thank you very much. So, dear colleagues, we come to the next item on the agenda, which is the adoption of the Minsk final document. We will now consider the draft declaration, which consists of the final resolutions from each of the 3 general committees, together with the supplementary items referred to the general committees and the plenary, which were considered by the drafting committee yesterday. Under paragraph 2 of Rule 39 of our Rules of Procedure, no further amendments can be proposed at this stage. First of all, we vote on the resolutions passed by each of the 3 general committees. Then we'll take the supplementary items that were sent to the committees. In accordance with paragraph 3 of Rule 39, the drafting committee met and produced this draft declaration and draft resolutions of the Assembly, as well as the preamble. Lord Ponerse chaired the drafting committee. There are some minor technical changes in the text before you, but there are no changes of substance in anything the drafting committee has done on our behalf yesterday. We will now consider the draft declaration. If there is an objection to a paragraph, only the following may speak: 1 speaker against the paragraph, 1 speaker in favor, and the rapporteur or chairman. We come to the draft declaration of the first committee. We will take the draft, now take the preamble and the paragraphs 1 to 54 of the draft declaration. Does anyone want a separate vote on these paragraphs? This is not the case. Oh, yes. Yes, please, a colleague from the Russian Federation. Yes.
Уважаемый господин председатель, хочу от имени Российской Федерации попросить коллег о понимании. Мы поддерживаем Минскую декларацию и благодарны за совместную работу, однако мы не будем голосовать за формулировки резолюции о восстановлении суверенитета, территориальной целостности Украины и резолюции о положении в Восточной Европе. Мы категорически не согласны с, на мой взгляд, уже становящимися неприличными формулировками про аннексию Крыма, а также тоном некоторых пунктов и параграфов, которые являются для нас категорически неприемлемыми. В остальном очень благодарны коллегам за совместную работу. Все остальные пункты Российская Федерация поддерживает и готова по ним совместно работать. Спасибо.
Thank you very much. Are you happy with the paragraphs 1 to 54? No subject. There is another one, please, from Belarus.
Спасибо, госпожа председатель. Я хотел бы тоже, отмечая конструктивный и в целом полезный характер состоявшихся обсуждений по вопросам дополнительных пунктов повестки дня, отметить, что, конечно же, мы ни в коей мере не можем поддержать совершенно конфронтационную, предвзятую и недостаточно профессионально подготовленную, я бы даже сказал, непрофессиональную резолюцию по ситуации в Восточной Европе. Спасибо. И мы за нее, естественно, голосовать не будем. Да.
So we will take the preamble and the paragraphs 1 to 54 together. Are there any objections? Thank you. So the preamble 1 to 54 are agreed to. We will now take the paragraphs 55 to 96 of the draft declaration Does anyone want a separate vote on any of these paragraphs? No. So we take paragraph 55 to 96 together. Any objections? This is not the case, so the paragraphs 55 to 96 are agreed to. We will now take the paragraphs 97 to 158 of the draft declaration. Does anyone want a separate vote on any of these paragraphs? This is not the case, so we will take 97 to 158 together. Any objections? No. So thank you, so they are agreed to. We now consider the supplementary items from the 3 general committees. In the plenary, we have already agreed the supplementary items on promoting gender-inclusive and responsive mediation, for a coherent, shared and responsible governance of migration and refugee flows, and on migration. So we will move straight to the next supplementary item, which is restoration of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Ukraine. Is the Assembly content to consider the resolution as a whole? Yes. Yes, so we will take the resolution as a whole. Any objections to the resolutions? To the resolution? Thank you. This is not the case. It is agreed. We come to the next one, strengthening the role of the OSCE in countering terrorism. Is the Assembly content to consider the resolution as a whole? Yes. Yes, so we will take it as a whole. Any objection to the resolution? This is not the case, so the resolution is agreed. We come to strengthening energy security in the OSCE region. Is the Assembly content to consider the resolution as a whole? Yes. So we take it as a whole. Any objections to the resolution? This is not the case. Thank you. So the resolution is agreed upon. We come to the next one, developing a timely and effective legislative, regulatory and administrative response to the emergence of new psychoactive substances. Is the Assembly content to consider the resolution as a whole? This is the case. Any objections to the resolution? No. Thank you. It is agreed. We come to the next one, drinking water, fostering cooperation to protect a scarce resource adversely affected by climate change. Is the Assembly content to consider the resolution as a whole? This is the case. Any objections to the resolution? No, so the resolution is agreed to. We come to observation of new voting technologies. Is the Assembly content to consider the resolution as a whole? This is the case. So we take it as a whole. Is there any objection? No. The resolution is agreed to. We come to preventing child sexual exploitation online through advances in technology. Is the Assembly content to consider the resolution as a whole? This is the case. So we take it as a whole. Any objections? No, thank you. It is agreed to. Next one is multiculturalism, the role of cultural values in the development of democracy in the context of globalization. Is the Assembly content to consider the resolution as a whole? Yes. This is the case, so we do this. Any objections to the resolution? No, so it is agreed to. Thank you. We come to the resolution abolition of the death penalty. Is the Assembly content to consider the resolution as a whole? Yes. So any objections to the resolution? This is not the case, so it is agreed to. We come to the resolution, the situation in Eastern Europe. Is the Assembly content to consider it as a whole? If there, so you have, thank you. So there is an objection to the resolution as a whole. Are you objecting to the resolution as a whole or to a particular paragraph? So I give them the... Please take the floor.
Да, спасибо, госпожа председатель. Мы выступаем принципиально против всей резолюции, потому что если мы могли бы сейчас, ну или на более позднем этапе, поручить ее рассмотреть профессионалам, они бы сказали, что эта резолюция не годится во всех отношениях. Она очень непрофессиональная, она некомпетентная, конфронтационная, сырая. Вообще такого рода резолюции, так слабо подготовленные, нельзя вообще выносить на рассмотрение таких авторитетных форумов, как ежегодная парламентская сессия ОБСЕ. Спасибо.
Thank you. So there has a separate vote on this resolution been requested. Does anyone want to speak in favor of the resolution? Sweden, yes, please.
Yes, Mrs. Chair, I suppose that's natural that I then say something. Well, I think we had a discussion for quite some time yesterday, and I think we had a good discussion yesterday. It's very clear that there are different opinions between different representatives, and of course those delegations representing the countries mentioned in my resolution. I can understand that they are not fully satisfied. I have spoken to some representatives of the different delegations and said that I'm more than willing in future-wise to sit down and discuss how we can reach progress. But given the discussion we had yesterday, it was very clear in the votes that the working group stood behind the resolution. And I think that we can rather work and hope for positive developments future-wise, but I think we should vote for the resolution as a whole.
Thank you very much. Does the chair of the chairman or the rapporteur of the third committee want to comment? This is not the case. You want to comment? No. Okay. So now we vote on the resolution. Those who are in favor? Switzerland wants to? Where? Oh, yes, please. The floor is yours.
Madame la Présidente, permettez-moi quand même de vous rendre compte de la position suisse. La délégation suisse est déçue de cette résolution et recommande aux délégations de la rejeter. Contrairement à ce que vient de dire notre collègue suédois, il y a un grand malaise qui entoure cette résolution. Et elle a passé avec 31 oui contre 17 non et 17 abstentions quand même à la Commission. À notre avis, chers et chers collègues, ce n'est que le rejet de cette dernière résolution qui ouvre la porte à ce que notre Assemblée traite une résolution équilibrée et constructive lors d'une de nos prochaines conférences. On vous invite donc à la rejeter. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. Usually it's the rapporteur or the chairman who is speaking to the resolutions. I'm sorry. Thank you very much. Though we come to the vote. Those who are in favor, please raise your hands. Those, thank you. Those against? please raise one, still keep your hand up so we count once again.
One moment.
Just a minute. Thank you. We just have to have a look in the rules of procedure. We have a very unusual situation really here, and you see we have been counting several times. It's 43 to 43. So no, please come down. Let me explain. And now we look through we discussed the rules of procedures, and if there is not a majority, it is not included in the in the Minsk Declaration. Thank you. No. Thank you very much. No. Thank you. Thank you for this fair voting procedure. It is a difficult situation, and we always try to keep a balance, and in this case, this is the balance. So we have 43 to 43 votes, and thank you very much.
It doesn't matter because they don't get counted.
So we come...
But we can ask who abstains also.
We now ask for the abstentions.
Abstentions. Kind of 28. 28.
Abstentions, 28. Thank you very much. We come to the next item, the inadmissibility of discrimination and intolerance with regard to Christians, Muslims, and members of other religions. Is the Assembly content to consider the resolution as a whole? This is the case, so we take it as a whole. Any objections to the resolutions? To the resolution? This is not the case, so it is agreed to. We will now consider the Minsk Declaration as amended as a whole. Is there any objection to the Minsk Declaration as amended as a whole? This is not the case.
Да, есть возражение.
Yes, please, Russia.
Мы категорически возражаем против включения в Минскую декларацию резолюции, предложенной депутатами от Украины, о так называемой восстановлении суверенитета Украины. Просим Ассамблею снять эту резолюцию или рассмотреть ее отдельно.
Point of order, colleagues.
Point of order, please.
Let me remind, dear colleagues, dear Madam Chair, we already passed adoption of this part of our declaration. So now we have to vote only for the Minsk declaration generally, as a whole. Thank you.
We already passed it, so that's finished. Thank you. So we come to the Minsk declaration as a whole. Any objection to the declaration as amended as a whole? This Russia?
Мы предлагаем провести голосование по этой декларации.
Mr. Tolstoy, you ask for a separate vote on this resolution, no, on the declaration. So you have the floor for 1 minute to oppose the declaration.
Yeah. Point of order.
Уважаемая госпожа председатель, уважаемые коллеги, мы...
Just a minute, there is a point of order from the colleague from the Ukraine.
Dear colleague, let me one more time remind you that according to the rules of procedure, we, step by step, as was announced by Madam Chair, passed all the supplementary items included into the declaration. We already passed, according to the rules of procedure, all points included. We already passed all 3 main reports from the committees. So now we have to vote only for the Minsk declaration as a whole. Please, let's keep the rules of procedure of this organization. Thank you.
Thank you. You are right. We vote on the declaration as a whole. There was another point from... No, that's okay. No. So, okay. So now we vote on the Minsk declaration as a whole. Is there any objection to the Minsk declaration as amended? No, this is not the case. Oh, no.
Мы что возражаем? Российская Федерация в связи с наличием в Минской декларации документа, предложенной Украиной, возражает против принятия Минской декларации в целом.
So I just repeat, we are now in the procedure of voting on the declaration as a whole. Those in favor, please raise your cards. The Minsk declaration as a whole. Who is in favor? No, I have. And against? Thank you. Against? Thank you. Thank you. And abstentions?
3 abstentions.
So we have 91 in favor, 15 against, and 3 abstentions. So the Minsk Declaration is adopted. Dear colleagues, this concludes our proceedings on the Minsk Declaration and resolutions. We now, Mr. Lord Ponerse just came in, so we now come to the announcement of the results of the elections, and I call Lord Ponerse to vouch for the probity of the elections. You have the floor.
Thank you very much indeed, Madam President. And I'm in a position to announce the result of the elections for the Assembly officers. Can I first of all, before so doing, thank the staff and my co-tellers, Ms. Konstedt from Liechtenstein and Ms. Sena from Portugal, for their assistance in carrying out the election and the count. For the election of President, you, Madam President, were elected President by acclamation, there being no other nominations, and you will serve as our President to the end of 2018 session, and I have the pleasure of saying publicly now, congratulations. There were contested elections for the position of 4 vice presidents, and I declare that the number of votes cast for the candidates were as follows. Ms. Margareta Cederfelt received 115 votes. Mr. Victor Dobre received 99 votes. Mr. Kovalev received 84 votes. Ms. Marietta Tedi received 136 votes. And Senator Roger Wicker received 134 votes. There were no spoilt ballots. And therefore, Ms. Tedi, Senator Wicker and Ms. Cederfelt are elected Vice Presidents for 3 years until the end of 2020, and Mr. Dobre elected Vice President for 2 years until the end of the 2019 session. And I congratulate those successful candidates. The other declaration I have to make is the election of the Treasurer, Mrs. Doris Barnett, who was also elected by acclamation, and she will serve to the end of the 2019 session, and congratulations to Mrs. Barnett. Madam President, thank you very much indeed.
Dear colleagues, first of all, thank you, Lord Ponerse, for doing the election. Thank you for being here and working with us, working together, and congratulations to the newly elected officials here. On behalf of the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly, I would like to expand our and my deepest gratitude once again to the Belarusian Parliament for the excellent organization of this annual session. Thank you very much. And thank you, dear colleagues, for being here in Minsk and for actively participating in all our debates. I think we have had a fruitful meeting. Not only have we reached agreement on some of the most difficult issues of the day and are issuing a strong political document today, but we have also worked towards restoring the spirit of cooperation that we need so badly. If there is one thing that stands out from our meetings over the past several days, it is a sense of urgency among our parliamentarians for effective action in addressing our challenges. What is needed now is for us to return to our capitals and put our recommendations into action, hold our governments accountable, push them to live up our commitments. As parliamentarians, we serve as the most direct link between our governments, international organizations like the OSCE, and our people. In the Parliamentary Assembly of the OSCE, we represent 1 billion people from Vancouver to Vladivostok. It is 1/7 of the world population. As elected officials, this means that our collective voice, represented in the Minsk Declaration today, has a democratic legitimacy that is unrivaled and undeniable. And let me personally add, the OSCE needs us more than maybe ever. This is why I want to express my gratitude to those colleagues from our Assembly that stand ready to take the responsibility for the OSCE as a whole. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, the challenges we face are too big to face them alone. We need international cooperation to address them effectively. If we ever hope to create a world that can feel good about passing the world on to our children and grandchildren. But we can do if we work together. I, for one, am encouraged by the spirit of cooperation that we have all felt here in Minsk. Of course, we might have differences and may fundamentally disagree on many important issues, but these differences, I think, are small in comparison to the things that we agree on the need of comprehensive security, for enhancing trust to ensure peace and prosperity in the OSCE region. I'm especially pleased that the important work of the Ad Hoc Committee on Migration, which has really stepped up to face the challenges posed by the refugee and migrant situation. As you know, we have also agreed here in Minsk at the new Ad Hoc Committee to exchange on the terrorist threat. I hope that this committee lives up to the challenge and contributes in a real way to making us more safe and secure. Dear colleagues, as I head into my second year as President of the Assembly, I would like to thank you for the confidence and the support you have given to me. And I look forward to a continuous good and fruitful cooperation. It is an honor for me to serve you and the Assembly for the next year. Thank you very much. Going forward, I will continue the work that I've pursued since being elected in Tbilisi last year. In particular, I will continue pushing governments to find solutions to our enduring challenges. This means working for an effective OSCE, including by filling the vacant positions that currently exist in the organization, and increasing the involvement of the parliamentarians of the OSCE, because we are the part that really functions. Thank you for that. I will also continue to build bridges by promoting fora for dialogue within the OSCE area, as well as external cooperation with countries on the periphery of the OSCE and with other parliamentary assemblies and international organizations. Concluding, let me once again thank you and thank the Belarusian host, to all who have contributed to this session here in Minsk. A special thank also goes to the staff behind the scenes, handling the practical aspects of making this a successful meeting. The volunteers who have been so helpful our friends in the International Secretariat, and of course the interpreters who have done such an excellent job. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you again in Andorra in autumn. The 26th session of the OSCE's Parliamentary Assembly is closed. Thank you very much.